Awesome. Thank you, Ron, for the opportunity. We have a great session for you. It's about how you can boost your productivity with generative AI. My name is Balaji Iyer. As Ron said, I'm the founder and CEO of Tactical Edge, and we help customers build a generative AI powered application and AI agents. That's kind of what we specialized in. That's what we've been doing for some time. Prior to starting it, Tactical Edge, as Ron also mentioned, I was at AWS, where I used to lead AWS AI for public sector for almost half a decade. And then I left AWS, joined Microsoft. I was the director for data and AI for a few years. And now, prior to starting Tactical Edge, that was our journey. But I'm here today with Wesley, and she's a senior generative AI specialist at AWS. Let's dive into it. Why are we talking about productivity? So the most interesting thing about productivity, it's a uniquely human pursuit. So starting with the invention of the plow, to the printing press, to the personal computer, to the modern phones, to now generative AI. Each and every one of these breakthroughs saves time and effort, but most importantly, it unlocks new possibilities for progress. That's kind of what some of these data points depicts. Like just by the improving the productivity, it's going to really help your day-to-day, and it creates huge opportunities across every enterprise. But generative AI application presents a new set of challenges. First, these models do not know your company. Right? So it's trained on broad range of data available on the internet and literature. But your data, your customers, your operations, these models do not know. This limits your ability to get relevant suggestions from these models. So that's kind of the first one. And then they also do not know about who you are, about your role, your preferences, what informations you use, what do you do, what do you don't have access to. It does not understand the governance of data associated with that. And then, if you're an enterprise organization, you want to assure that your data remains separate. And so it's not used for public training. I think Trellix also mentioned that they don't do data training on public data. But this is a team, there's a certain set of vendors that, like AWS, where they're clear about like what they use for training on your data. So in this case, Q does not. So many CIOs recently banned the use of like chatbots to protect their organizations against like shadow IT or unauthorized use of technology, which poses a risk to their organization. So we have a set of solutions with the AWS that addresses all these gaps. So we talked about the challenges with the technology that is generative AI. Now, let's talk about a set of challenges that you have when it comes to adopting these capabilities. So you have a plethora of use cases in your organization. Where do you start? What is the best ROI use case? How can you derive value from the data? How can you build it repeatable across your enterprise? How do you use a generative AI to a variety of different problems that you have today and also emerging in the future? So this is kind of what we see from customers today. So now let me pass it over to Wesley to discuss a suite of solutions that is available in AWS.
Thank you so much. So I know my colleagues over at AWS spent a bit of time talking through our generative AI stack at AWS. So I'm not going to spend too much time here. But you'll see at the top of this chart the Q suite, and this is really the buy option. So some companies, it makes a lot of sense to build their own generative AI tool. And Q Business and the Q Suite was developed as a fully managed offering to provide a generative AI tool to companies. And beneath that is the Amazon Bedrock, and then the SageMaker, and the AWS Trainium, and Inferentia. So other more not managed solutions. Next slide, please. So Amazon Q Business was purpose built for the enterprise from the ground up to support this need by hundreds and thousands of customers globally. So you can read this diagram from the right to the left. So when a user on the right types in a query into Q, they're really asking a question to that AI that sits on top of your Q index. So that's your enterprise data. The Q index pulls in all of your data and the user permissions from over 40 different fully managed connectors, depending on what that company is using. And it pulls in the knowledge bases, document repositories, things such as Salesforce, Slack, SharePoint, Google Workspace, you name it, and so that you can easily access your data from one place rather. So it's also built with security and privacy in mind. So it understands and respects the existing identities, the roles and permissions that are necessary to keep your guardrails in place and the data in the hands of those who are should have their hands on it and be aware of the documents. And so on top of this, your private data is yours. So Q Business never will use your content to improve the underlying models for others. And then we enable administrators to easily apply guardrails to customize and control responses. And so that's also going to give you the ability to fine tune the company voice, make sure that the users get responses that are relevant and appropriate to what they should be seeing. Next slide. So with Q Business, we're seeing a lot of different use cases. So things that are horizontal use cases that are not necessarily industry specific, but then also more industry specific use cases. So horizontal, you think like HR onboarding. Okay, this is something that every company is working through and trying to make it more efficient. And then things like we'll dig into a use case about insurance underwriters. This is definitely a popular one, and I'm looking forward to showing you how Q Business can help with that specifically. Next slide. So across all of these use cases, one of the biggest challenges impacting the workplace productivity is the fact that enterprise data is often fragmented across multiple systems. And Q Business simplifies this with the ready-to-use connectors for platforms like Salesforce, SharePoint, Confluence, and more. We also have custom connectors. So if you don't see one of these platforms listed, there's an ability to custom build a connector to suit your needs. So these connectors automatically handle the security permissions, data crawling, and content indexing. So it allows companies to really quickly deploy Q Business across the company without the burden of building and maintaining custom integrations. And one of the reasons that Q Business is so powerful is because it supports actions and tasks right where employees are working. So when you're in Q Business, you can automatically create a ticket in Jira or Salesforce or ServiceNow and summarize conversations and get work done right in one place. So specifically for financial services, why is Q Business a good thing? Next slide. Next two slides. So we know that the financial services industry is a highly regulated industry. It requires often fast-paced, maintaining deadlines, getting back to customers really, really quickly. And you're managing typically a lot of data and information from a variety of resources. So Q Business is helpful to ease that burden of trying to figure out where to find the information that you need in a timely manner, and then making sure that responses back to customers are timely, they are reliable, and they are, I would say, efficient. and based on every unique customer's need or inquiry that's coming up. On top of this, security and compliance is hugely important for financial services, and the industry demands built-in compliance and controls specifically tailored for financial regulations. So maintaining bank-grade security standards throughout. On top of this, robust data governance and audit capabilities are essential for meeting the strictest regulatory requirements with confidence. And Q Business handles all of this for you. So it takes the burden off of the enterprise for building out a tool like this. Next slide. So compliance, I mentioned this is a huge factor for why a lot of customers are turning to Amazon Q Business. So we maintain the highest standards of security and compliance to protect your organization's sensitive information. So we're fully compliant with critical industry standards such as SOC 1, 2, and 3 for your audit reports, for internal controls and security, and then as well as PCI for payment card security. We've got a plethora of other compliance certifications as well, healthcare and such, but I know that these are highly important for financial services. So as I mentioned previously, your data remains exclusively within your specified region and is never used to train, fine-tune, or improve our models or services. So this is going to ensure complete data sovereignty and privacy for your organization. Then for comprehensive security monitoring, Q Business integrates seamlessly with AWS CloudTrail, providing detailed logs of all the interactions for your audit and compliance needs. And to give you maximum control, we offer robust administrative controls and guardrails. And so this will allow you to customize the application according to your organization's specific security requirements. And then the native connectors are designed with security in mind as well. And so those will respect your existing access control lists, so your ACLs, and to ensure that the users are only accessing the data that they have permission to access within your organization. Next slide. So Q Business maintains the highest standards of security and compliance. We know that in order to, I'm sorry, in addition to the compliance, the financial services industry often requires the time-sensitive tasks and deadlines. And so that's why, it's important to be able to get tasks done within one space and be able to access different data sources and generate tickets, summarize conversations, add comments to Jira's tickets right in one place.
This is a very important point, just to add on to what Wesley mentioned. Today, we have this enterprise app silos that they don't talk to each other. So here it provides that interface where you have ability to kind of inject data right from this interface across a huge range of connectors and act on that. It's pretty powerful. Yeah, go ahead, Wesley.
Thank you. So in addition, we know that data comes in a variety of types. So Q Business has the ability to extract insights from visual content embedded in documents. And so whether you're working in a PDF, Word docs, or PowerPoints, Q Business can ingest them and provide information about those to the user. One of my favorite features of Q Business is Amazon Q Apps. So this is essentially a lightweight way for users to create an application that can streamline and automate different everyday tasks. So I actually use Q Apps on a daily basis. It's very, very easy, no code, anybody can do it. And really at a high level, it's like a smart prompt form that you can save and share, so that if you come up with an app that you find is particularly helpful, a lot of your colleagues are doing similar tasks, they can take advantage of that as well. So for example, let's say you want to generate a blog, you can write a prompt, input some of the different fields that are going to be necessary, and then it will automatically pull in different data sources to create the blog. Next slide. So let's look specifically at financial services use case and case studies. So if we double click on this Q apps function specifically for underwriting assistance within financial services, you can see how you can easily automate this underwriting process that relies on a significant number of documents. You're looking at guidelines, historical data, and so this tool essentially asks the user to input the customer name as well as their medical records. The app is going to then go in and look at all of the different data that is necessary to build out a custom recommended life insurance premium and risk factors for this particular customer. Next slide. And in terms of FSI customers who are seeing positive results from Q Business, Deriv is one really great example. It's one of the world's largest online brokers. Their employees, they were facing challenges accessing over 25 years of data spread across a variety of platforms, everything from Slack to Google Docs to Google Drives and GitHub. And so they adopted Q Business to help ease that burden and to do it safely, to process data across all of these sources, improve productivity, and they found that it actually helped reduce their onboarding time for new employees by about 45%. Next slide. Principal Financial Group. They are revolutionizing their operational workflow with what they've called Principal AI Generative Experience page, and it is powered by Q Business. So it's demonstrated a remarkable success already with around over $200,000 in initial savings for them. They started out with around 400 users and quickly are expanding to users in the thousands. They are saying that it's saving them over $5 million in bottom line savings. Next slide. Kemper Corporation is a leading American insurance provider with over $13 billion in assets, and they've also seen remarkable results with Q Business. And their use of Q Business has demonstrated about 29% productivity improvements and reducing the agent handling time by 46 seconds. So if you've ever been on hold trying to get in touch with somebody, 46 seconds is a pretty major win. So Q Business can, increase the speed of accessing the right response to provide back to the customer that you're working with. Next slide. And one of the key things to keep in mind for launching your generative AI tool is understanding a solid business use case before rolling it out. So great example of this, London Stock Exchange, they were facing significant challenge in managing customer inquiries across all of their different products and services. So their client services team was always referencing FAQ docs, referencing, long documents of policies, and trying to dig through the weeds to get back effectively. So Q Business has played a huge role in helping them to ease that burden and provide accurate information to customers. And with that, I will pass things back over to Balaji.
Thank you, Wesley. So now we're going to talk about, how can you enhance these user experiences back to your customers? So let me show you a couple of examples for that. So here's an example of a low-code, no-code based embedded chatbot. So what this allows you to do is for you to be able to insert your data from your organization and provide a JavaScript that can be embedded in your app. So users can invoke right there. And now this is trained on your data. Now you're providing that experiences right back to the user. So instead of having them parse through a lot of documents or different web pages or other data sheets, now you have a quick interactive way for them to be able to leverage your capability and your offerings. And this is particularly important not only for your organization. Let's say you are an organization that sells through a different organization. Now you have to train all their sales reps to use their products. Like Home Depot is a great example. Or in financial services, your product are being surfaced and resold by a different provider. And when you sell these through a different provider, then your channel need to be trained about your services. And here's a great approach for you to provide your document and enable a chatbot for your end users to directly interface with. So not only for internal use, but also for external use, but also your third-party channel use as well. So here's another example of NFL, a Draft IQ. It was built on generative AI and on AWS. This was included. This was trained based on 20 years of draft data, so it provides interactive insights for fans, and where you can use natural language queries to learn about the prospects and also your team as well. So this talk is about improving your productivity. So let's talk about what the future of work. But let's start with painting a picture of your day-to-day today. An average worker today juggles on an average of 11 different applications to complete their daily tasks. So this is basically doubled in the last 6 years, it doubled from since 2019. So now think about your own workday. You likely have multiple apps running, perhaps one application for running your communications, and you're drafting a document in another set of apps, Confluence or Word document. And you're simultaneously searching through PowerPoint presentations, Outlook emails, internal wikis. So a human worker today, an employee, is pulling all this data from different sources, like including CRM, your internal documents, and other data across your enterprise to be able to drive insights or to be able to create new content that assimilates all this information. So, and that is kind of where the huge productivity loss happens today. And this is where some of these tools that we're talking about today is going to improve your experience and productivity. So let me talk to you about one example of that. So we have all experienced those frustrated moments where data is not in the right place and it takes hours to constantly switching between multiple apps. So this is precisely the challenge that the Q Index is designed to solve. So Q Index streamlines and unifies a system of record across all these applications into a single index store. So this is kind of think of a database, but for generative AI. And that is completely governed. So you get access only to the data that you have access to. Let's say you are based out of New York, but you're trying to access data based out of California. And perhaps your role does not allow you to access data from that particular location. So in that case, you won't be able to have access to it. You can pull all those access controls right there across your applications. So now it also enables cross-app index, so using retrieval API. So with this, you can do semantic keyword search to get some of the most relevant responses. So to kind of wrap things up, we are your partner for you to help you build your generative AI applications and also your generative AI applications for your customers as well, including internal-facing applications. So how can we help? So what we have here is a suite of solutions that's already pre-built. Until recently, we were a full development shop where you come in, you say, I want hamburger, milkshake, and fries. We will go make hamburger, milkshake, and fries. So today, we're more of a McDonald's drive-through where you drive in and say, okay, I want number 3. You want fries and Coke. You're out of the driveway in about 3 minutes or less. So this is the kind of experience that we have transformed into. This is what generative AI enabled us to build these applications for you. So we have a set of banking and finance applications all ready to go, built on AWS with the security and guardrails and controls there for you so you can go to production in less than a week. So this was never possible before. Now you have all these tool sets that you can actually own and build. We can help you jumpstart your journey and also build applications. So you can go to tacticaledge.ai where you can see all these applications. We have over 100 plus applications that's already pre-built and ready to use for you. We also have a solution for data that is in different silos, right? So one of the key employee productivity challenges today we discussed is because of the data silos. If you look at the last 20 years, there's been a huge proliferation of SaaS apps and other modern applications. So because of that, the data get trapped in these applications. So now we have a solution that can bring all this data into your cloud and build a data lake. Now you can build advanced AI and generative AI and analytics on top of it. So that's a very useful solution, especially when you're dealing with a lot of different data sources, which most of you are. One of the specialties that we have is how do you start with your journey with some application or a use case that has the highest return on investment for you, for your most impact for your organization. Now, how do you take that and repeatable across your enterprise? And how do you make it scale across your different parts of your organization? That's really what we specialize in, because ultimately you don't want to stop at just one application or one way of doing things, but be able to transform your entire organization, starting with the right set of tool sets, best practices, and foundational infrastructure for you to be able to build on top of it. So the next application is taking faster. And you're also taking and distilling all the learnings and best practices across your organization and imparting that through the application. So anybody who's using that app is benefiting from these learnings that you had as an organization. And we also help build agentic applications and AI first products. So starting with what is the key problem that we're trying to solve? And many of the speakers talked about today, are we solving the right problem that actually matters to you and your customers? And starting with your data and building these agentic workflows that can be streamlined and spread across your organization. And having the organization rethink every single problem, every single tool set that you have with an AI first approach. And this is something that we have a lot of success in doing and driving business value for organizations. Now, taking a step back, we have a huge set of generative AI agents factory where all the way from data to the end user experiences, different modalities, different data types, different data formats, pipelines, all this is available for you. So definitely help. We can help you with any of those solutions. So please reach us at tacticalist.ai, or you can email us, or you can hit me up on LinkedIn, and same with Wesley. We're all both active on LinkedIn, so please connect. And thank you again, Ron, for this opportunity.